Okay, so today we're going to make Osso Buco. So here we have the veal. This is the shin of the beef. So it's cut right through the bone. So you have the bone marrow that's part of the dish. This is a classic braising dish, or braisage, as you would say in French. So you want to have your meat and about 20% the weight of the meat in vegetables. We just use carrots and onions. I don't like celery really with this dish, but just a bit of carrot and onions. So we're going to prepare that. So Kelly, if you want to chop this out. Okay, that because this is going to be cooked for a long time, like 4 hours, you want to have your vegetables chopped in big pieces, whereas if you were cooking something for a short period of time, like an hour, you would just have it small pieces. But for this, you want big pieces. Okay. So when you're doing a dish like this, for the seasoning, you want it to be evenly seasoned with salt and pepper, but you don't want to over season, because afterwards you're going to reduce the liquid that it's cooking in. And if you've over seasoned it, you're going to have your sauce too seasoned. So we want to take it easy, but at the same time, if you don't season it properly, you need to season your meat when it's raw, because then the flavor, the salt goes inside the meat. If you wait until later, if you cook it and then you try and put salt on it, you won't have the meat itself flavored. So this is an important point. So a nice bit of pepper. We use white pepper in the French kitchen, except for certain black pepper things. Salt. When you're in the kitchen, what you want to do is you want to keep, when you're touching things, like when you're moving the meat, you have one hand that's going to get wet and one hand that's always going to stay dry. So when I'm going to salt, these fingers are not wet, but this finger is wet because I just moved all the meat. But that should become a habit when you're working in a kitchen, that you keep this hand dry for seasoning. So when you do a veal of salt, you can actually do a nice light veal, and the whole movement is like this. We don't cook it with garlic because later on, at the very end of this dish, right before you serve, you put a mixture of garlic, lemon zest, and parsley in it, which is called the gremolata. So you have this more of a fresh garlic flavor. And you want your pan to be really hot, because if you put it into a pan that's not hot enough, the meat is not going to brown. It's going to start releasing too much moisture. Down. The idea is to get as much color on it as you can, because that's where your flavor is going to come from. So you want to get maximum color without getting it burnt, because if you burn it at all, it might not hurt the meat, but it's what you got inside your pan you really want for your flavor. So you don't want your inside of your pan to be burnt. But that's pretty good. You can see how dark that and colored that is all over. So this is all the sugars from your meat, and that's what gives you your flavor. So if you don't have color, you're really compromising your flavor. Okay, so you want a nice pan like this, quite deep, that we're going to cook it in. In one layer, yeah? So now all this nice stuff in your pan, you really want that. So get all your flavor out of there. So you want to make sure your pan is nice and clean for the next round. You never, ever, ever cook in a dirty pan, okay? So ideally we're going to try and squeeze these into one layer. So we're going to use a bit of bay leaf as well. So what we want to do is cover this with liquid. It needs to be completely covered to cook correctly. I mean, some of these guys, they don't cover it completely with water, but I don't think that they're getting everything cooked to the same degree. We're going to put that in an oven at 140. So braisage is a slow cooked dish, and And then we'll show you what happens after that. Okay, so here's the Osso Buco. Nice and soft. So you can see this was 4 hours. I'm just going to move it into another tray. So what we're going to do is pass all of this juice. So in the restaurant, of course, we put it on plastic like this. You take the meat and you separate it, and then you pass the sauce on top of it. So take a strainer. I'm going to take one piece and prepare it so you can see what it's like. So these vegetables, you want to pass this really well because you want to get some of the texture from these vegetables in your sauce. Now I'm going to take this piece and we're going to reduce it so I show you how we do this. Okay? So I like to store my Osso Buco in the juice like this. It keeps it nice and moist and tender while you're storing it a little bit, and inside the juice it will last a while. Gremolata is just lemon zest and parsley and garlic. So you take the zest off the lemon. So it should be equal quantities of lemon zest, garlic, and parsley. Okay. So we're going to put our gremolata in here. So basically it's a nice big spoonful. And stock is nicely thickened. So as you see, this garlic is not really being cooked very much. We just throw it in at the end so you have this kind of almost fresh garlic flavor. Okay, so that's finished. Now I'm going to serve it up. Okay, so at Bistro X we serve our Osso Buco with wild mushroom risotto. Very mushroomy. C'est bon. And then just the sauce on the meat. And around. Voilà, c'est super bon. There you go. Really nice, very, very big flavors, but the lemon zest really comes through. I mean, actually, what I showed you to make the gremolata, actually during the service, we just zest the lemon straight into the dish, because if you prepare anything in advance, even the lemon zest and all that, you're losing a bit of flavor and oxidation. So, as much as possible, we try and do everything à la minute, which is why these guys call me lastminute.com. So it's stressful for the kitchen, but it really adds to the flavor, like just to put that really fresh lemon zest in, and the garlic really fresh, and the parsley makes all the difference. Bon appetit!